This is the 214th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the last week of April 2015. This episode is titled Summer Whispers. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by The Permissioner by Arkus. Mass assign and revoke Salesforce permission sets. It truly is permission sets made easy. Available for free on the App Exchange or go to thepermissioner.com, which will bring you to the App Exchange. I'm your host, Jason Howard, and joining me, host man?
Host? How about just host?
Co-host with the most, Justin Edelstein. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. You know what I'm really enjoying?
What is that?
All across the Salesforce community in general, the success community, the partner community, the Power of Us hub, Twitter, everywhere, people are loving our episode 212.
Oh, the NGO.
I mean, they're just loving it. The one that was called NGO Disconnect. But people are really, really enjoying it for how we talked, not just about NGO Connect necessarily,
right?
But they're talking how we were talking generically about Salesforce platform and ISV and some of the limitations or hurdles that you have to jump over or through. And we're getting a lot of good feedback on that one.
Good.
So I appreciate everybody who's listening, who's given us feedback on that one, and feel free to give us feedback on all of them because we like that kind of stuff.
I will give myself feedback because I had to basically pull you kicking and screaming to do that episode.
Yeah, you did.
Sometimes behind the scenes, it's not easy. But yeah, that was a good one. And it's gotten some hits.
Has it now?
Yes, it has now. But this week, we are back from our app pick updates from last week. We're doing a little bit early because we usually do them towards the end of the week, but this week we're doing towards the middle of the week because
why?
We have a lot of stuff going on in the next 2 days. Here, personally, at Arkus, there is a little wave of things happening.
Salesforce wave?
Nope. Oh. Not even Google Wave. But they are happening in the next 2 days. So sometimes it's just you gotta do the podcast early so you can get it out the window, and then say goodbye and then come back to it next week. So
you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's 3:24, and
yes.
I just got sent this article from MarketWatch that I think that we should just briefly just touch on here. Okay. I can throw it in the little agenda for you to read.
I'll try to just get over the fact that you're reading email while we're
I'm not reading email. It got pinged to me to talk about on the podcast.
From who? The guy who's listening in the other room?
No. So apparently, there's little rumors floating around. Around a potential takeover of Salesforce.
I like how I can read it from just the title because now everybody does in the SEO world.
It's great.
Yeah, Salesforce.com surge 135 or 13%. So that's what you just read the URL.
Yep.
On report of takeover. Who's interested?
So Bloomberg News said the software company has hired advisors to deal with a takeover inquiry. That's it. That's the news. But the shares have surged 13.5% in late trading on Wednesday, which is today.
Nice.
Interesting.
I like it.
Just wanted to throw that in there.
I was looking at Apple shares the other day. They were going insane again.
Yeah, that'll happen, huh?
Based on stuff. So, you brought it up, so let's talk about it. Takeover interest.
Yeah.
So, give me two companies.
Yeah.
The company that you would be totally okay with taking over Salesforce.
Yep.
And the company that we'd have to shut down Arkus for. All right. We'd have to literally just shut down Arkus.
I think that this is a logical to me. Two logical choices from this would be and then this would be kind of fun time awesome.
Fun time awesome.
Yeah. So I'll go with the first.
Okay.
Oracle.
Okay.
And then I'll go with the fun time happy time, which would be Google.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw Microsoft. Where would you put Microsoft in there? That'd be the fun time happy? I don't think
You know what? I think it would.
It'd be more fun now that it's kind of a changing
They're
company.
kind of changing, yeah.
Trying to think of another company that Like, that's the thing. Obviously, I can think of a lot of companies that they took
Apple,
over.
fun time, happy times, right? But that's not happening.
Omni Group.
Sure,
I mean,
that ain't happening either.
Omni Group, right? Because the only the companies that could take them over would be so big that probably have all the problems of being a massive, massive company, which is sort of one of the problems of company growth. And I think all companies go through it. Is that when you get to a certain size, just the bureaucracy of being above a certain size gets to you. And Salesforce is definitely suffering from this. I mean, we can, I love you, Salesforce, but sometimes you can just sense like there's people just flying around doing everything on one side. And used to be 2,000 people, now 18,000, and sometimes no one knows what's going on.
Right.
So, they got bought by someone bigger. I mean, IBM would be someone I would think of.
There you go, IBM.
Trying to think of another like software consulting.
EMC. Are they a big one still? SAP.
Yeah. Oh man,
that'd be tough.
Do you think it would be complementary, or do you think it'd just be sort of like because if you have a product that you compete with Salesforce, buying Salesforce is, that's just trouble. But if you don't have a product that is anywhere near it, you want to get into that space.
I think whoever.
I got it.
See, look how this has spurned an awesome conversation.
The ultimate fun time, happy time. Amazon.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Wow.
That'd be really an interesting partnership.
They're nowhere near this space.
No, they're not.
Enterprise cloud.
Well, they're in enterprise cloud. They're just not in apps.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're in that.
I think they are.
Oh, with all the AWS stuff?
Yes. I think a lot of enterprises out there are running one thing or another on Amazon.
I think more people are running things on Amazon than they think they're running on
That's
Amazon.
That's the thing. Exactly.
I think if people knew how much stuff they're running on Amazon,
they might be nervous.
They would be very upset.
Right.
We use a piece of software that runs on Amazon, and they don't really necessarily tell you that it runs on Amazon.
No.
Like when you click launch, what it's doing is booting up or spinning up a full virtualized server on Amazon. But they don't. I think when you sign agreements and stuff, I don't know if that company says, by the way, we're outsourcing to another company that's doing this for us.
I wonder if they are obligated to do that or not. I mean, it's their infrastructure, sort of. Not. Right? No.
It's not even like
that'd be a cool one, though. Amazon. Yeah, and the Google one would be cool, except, I don't know, I could see them just swallowing them whole and then spitting them out into something nothingness.
I think they'd spit them out into nothingness. I think I had this. I think in one of my predictions I had Google buying. I think I had Apple and Google year after year. I had Apple buying Salesforce and Google buying Salesforce. Yeah. I don't know if they're buyable. I mean, Apple's got the kind of money. I don't know if Google has.
I just buy them with cash.
Yeah, Apple could buy it with cash.
Straight cash, homie.
Yeah,
all right, so there I just derailed us. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't mean to.
If they got bought off by someone really, really, really massive, it would probably take a good 5 to 10 years to really see the sort of, the bad stuff. What would Benioff go and do? You have to do the 5-year hang around.
You definitely have to hang out for a while.
Definitely. Interesting. All right, well, let's go to now not off the agenda. The blog post of the week. We have impact evaluation for nonprofits with Drawloop. Crazy sauce. So this was done by a person who, I don't know if we shall be naming. By the way, we're doing a little, I was looking at our little redesign, our small redesign of our website.
Yeah.
And one of the redesigned things, it actually shows the picture of the person.
Yeah, I noticed that yesterday. I was playing around with it.
Yeah.
I was testing it yesterday.
So that might be kind of neat that you'll see
I like
the
picture. I'm a big fan of that.
Right.
Big fan.
We'll have to get everybody to put the picture on.
Big fan.
So this one is, it's really using Drawloop to do sort of analytics type stuff, right? Not using it to generate a form or a letter or things that are normally we do with Drawloop. We're big Conga people here, but we're also agnostic to that type of thing. And so someone went off on a path of Drawloop, and so we thought, hey, let's write up something on it.
Do you know why they chose Drawloop? And there's an explicit or very good reason why Drawloop was the choice made here.
Why?
A feature that Drawloop has called Excel as middleware.
Okay, which is what this blog post is about. Did it
for the most part, right? So it's basically taking the data that wouldn't necessarily be in a format in Salesforce, like complicated Excel-like formulas, dropping Salesforce data into Excel, running those formulas in Excel, whether it be in a sheet that just has formulas, you can pivot the data and do all sorts of interesting things in Excel to then take the data and put it somewhere else. So it uses Excel, as it states, as middleware to do what Excel does really well, manipulate data into like one metric or into a chart.
Right.
And then taking that and putting it into a document, a PDF, the output. Yeah. So it's sort of throughputting itself through Excel. And that's...
You explained it much better than the blog. The blog explained it.
But using Excel as middleware feature is a absolute differentiator, in my opinion, between Drawloop and Conga. There's some other differentiators there. Drawloop has a really nice interface for actually creating the templates and the buttons. Like, you don't have, like, Conga's a little intimidating, super powerful, but a little intimidating with all the little button codes.
Yeah,
because it's
like DS7 equals 3.
Yeah, and you need like the guide open in front of you to know exactly, unless you really know it off the top of your head and you've done it a million times. And even like table starts, table ends, and all the tricky stuff you need to do inside of a document to make it format properly. Drawloop just uses a custom object, and you just start, building out everything in the custom object, and can write all the queries and reference the reports and all that stuff right in the object or in the record. Really nice.
I was going to call you out on the object record thing.
Yeah, I got there. But again, this was really all about creating a very, very robust report in a PDF format with charts, with single metrics, by using the Excel as middleware piece.
Yeah, awesome.
Which is pretty cool.
So that's on blog.arkusinc.com. You can go there to check it out. We're coming up on our 5th year anniversary, I think, this July. Of the blog.
Wow.
5 years of blogging.
It's a lot of blogging.
And all available
a lot
there.
Of podcasting, too.
If you want it, it's there for you in search.
Yeah, we don't take anything away. We may redesign the website. We don't take the content away.
No, that's sort of... hopefully a good content manager doesn't need you to do anything with it. Yeah. Well, what we're doing, just so everybody knows, we're not hiding anything. Mobile... Google is actually doing a mobile... they're changing their algorithm, and they're going to now rank websites that have mobile-specific designs to them higher than ones that don't.
Makes sense, because people are using their phones and such.
That's right.
Much more often to search for content.
Very smartly, the company that built our theme, because the way the software we use, it has these themes and you can install them. So we're actually using an Arkus theme. It's a theme on top of it. It's really cool because you can flip between the themes. I could have 3 themes and just flip between them, and there's versions of them. So it's kind of a cool way of doing the way the software works. They contacted me. When we were discussing it, we were
gonna do it.
They were reading our minds.
You know what's funny is because when you forwarded me the email from them, it looked like it was a solicitation from them to you, and I was like, "Wait a minute, we talked about that yesterday about reaching out to them.
It was.
What happened here? They were like proactively.
Yes.
Good for them.
Yeah, they literally said, they said that.
What was the ugh?
Literally, we have a thing going now.
Who's this we?
The wife and I have a thing. We were with a friend over the weekend having cocktails, and we were talking about the overuse of words.
Honestly, literally.
I'm not even going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, all these things that we say all the time. So that night,
don't mean things.
We started picking on each other whenever we said them.
Oh.
So now it's catching. Now I'm catching myself when I say literally.
Well, you know, you got to catch yourself without verbalizing it.
Nah. Everybody loves it. Anyway. So they contacted me. They said, would you like, this is the new study. You can test your website. It comes up as, Google will test it, Webmaster Tool. And then it came up failing. And you had been bugged about this for a while. So I said, okay, fine, give that to us. And then there's some other little things we wanted to do that were, tweaks and stuff. And so you and I were designing mobile designs yesterday. So that's what we're doing. and I don't know when it'll.
I think we fall on a nice middle ground between the two of us in our little argument that we were having.
It's not an argument. It's a dictatorship.
Well, that's what it was, but I think I found a middle ground for us.
You wanted to bury search.
I didn't want to bury anything. I wanted to put it where most people put it.
Nope.
And then I found
you used two examples.
No, I used two very big website examples.
Yeah, but those aren't very good designs either.
I think they both are fairly good designs and big time websites.
Search should be something that is always available.
I found another good example,
but the
that's
two that
what
you
they
originally
implemented.
sent me that were the original part of this conversation.
They didn't even have
search.
But then I found big time websites, and where did they put it? Where I said it should go. But then I found another example, one of my favorite websites, and they put it where, not exactly where you wanted it, but front and center, not hidden.
Well, we have good search, so when you have good search, you put it front and center.
Search first.
It's live type ahead search.
Search first.
Most websites don't have type ahead live search.
No, because we're awesome.
Right. Well, it's a good piece of software.
Well, it's good. It's a good company.
It's a good company. All right. Wow. Break my hand patting ourselves on the back. How did we just
All right,
do
so podcast done, yeah?
yeah, let's move on. Next up,
What's next?
Dropbox news.
Yeah.
This is kind of I actually got invited to the beta, but I couldn't get into it for some reason today. Either I don't know how to do it.
So you probably failed.
Well, I was
Either
invited.
you failed or they failed. Who
Someone
failed?
Someone
failed.
Dropbox is creating a notes app.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a collaborative notes app. And if you look at it's going right after Google, but if you look at the little screenshot.
Google and Microsoft.
And Microsoft, scroll down, you see the screen.
I see the screenshot.
Okay, interesting. I'm more interested that they're there, that Evernote isn't. To me, this is where Evernote should be.
What
now.
interests me is that these aren't Dropbox files. They're someone else's files that they're enabling collaboration features on top of, right? Because Dropbox doesn't have the notion of a file. It's just a place where you put a file.
Wait, no, it does have files.
Well,
it doesn't have a picture of notes.
No, you're not listening to what I'm saying, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Okay. But is there a file format like .dpb, .dpx, like a Dropbox file format? They're Word documents.
No.
They're Excel sheets.
Right.
They are PowerPoints.
That's right.
They're, for the most part, Microsoft files.
But I think this is notes.
I don't take it that way.
No?
That's not how I'm reading it. I'm reading it as you put a file into Dropbox, and then users of Dropbox Notes will be able to take already stored documents that are on Dropbox and use this service on top of it. Like, they're basically enabling real-time editing on existing documents. Unless I'm totally wrong and they're just creating a brand new file format that's proprietary to Dropbox, that's a Dropbox Note.
I think
that's why Evernote should be here.
Well, that's why ridiculous. Evernote should be here, right? To think that Evernote is not,
because they have a file.
But you know why they're not?
No, tell me.
Because of their offline. So one of the things that.
But Google's offline.
But they weren't off. They're offline second. They were online collaborative first,
right?
From Google Wave. Then they went offline. You could sync things down.
Well, they were actually online collaborative from something else, not Google Wave. It's the thing they bought.
The thing they bought before Google Wave.
Before they created Google Wave.
So.
Man, I think it was called like Weebly or something. Man, that goes way back. I think it was Weebly, but that could be so wrong.
I just want Evernote. I mean, to me, Evernote is kind of lacking that, because I've looked at they have a business tool, and they do have sharing, and you can share notes and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Great. Evernote has two. I was actually having a conversation with a person here at Arkus about it, because he was asking, why don't I store, I'm a big Evernote user, power user,
right?
The premium. He's like, why don't you store everything in Evernote? Like, why don't you store your PDFs?
And can't get it out.
And I say, I can't get it out, and it just doesn't. It doesn't have that.
Well, it doesn't mount anywhere.
Notes. It's great for notes,
right?
So Dropbox Notes, if they're like Evernote, then I think they're more shooting towards Evernote.
So like the thing that I again, because it's not really described here, is like when you go to Dropbox, which is on a directory on your machine, and you open it up,
right?
And I open up a folder that's called Notes or something. What am I going to see in there? Am I going to see Word documents, or am I going to see like some Dropbox
I think you're going to see
note.
some Dropbox, just like when you open up the Google Drive
Like
folder. it says
.gdoc.
Yeah, that's right.
But and then it opens in a browser.
Right.
So this is going to open in a browser. We think it's not a physical file.
If it's collaborative, it's going to open in a browser.
I mean, it should.
But you're right. Dropbox doesn't do browser
They don't have
stuff.
that.
They
Right.
have viewers, and you can look at it and download it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the viewer now gets this collaboration layer on top of it, which I know exists. It's kind of like what Office 365 does with OneNote, and even with like SharePoint, right? You can open up a physical Word that's something that started as a physical document,
Right.
and then sort of start editing it online. Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see where this goes. We'll also see. I'm going to bring this to Salesforce just because this is a Salesforce podcast for the most part.
For the most part. Unless they get bought, and then we're changing.
Well, then it's an Oracle podcast.
Well, then that's why we named it CloudFocus Weekly.
Well, that's right. This is just cloud.
Right. We go back to being cloud.
So what happens here, because Dropbox was like one of the enterprise Dropbox was one of the first like Salesforce One mobile apps, right? They were like really pushing like, look, Dropbox built the Salesforce One mobile app. And if they introduce this, then you can do notes inside Salesforce One and Dropbox Enterprise. But now Salesforce is also coming out with their own version of notes. Like, this is always the thing. It's interesting when company like Salesforce has like these tentacles that start reaching into other people's. Like, is Salesforce really like the master of notes? They should be, but they're not necessarily.
Well, something that Salesforce has always
They just
done
don't do
extremely
very
poorly.
well.
They don't do unstructured text.
Not very well.
They don't do it at all, even remotely well. Notes is terrible and looks like 1997. What else? Don't say Chatter.
I don't know. Chatter.
No, don't say Chatter.
Chatter's pretty unstructured.
It actually isn't unstructured. It's structured. Post, comment, 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 comment. It doesn't even do comment over it. It's very structured.
There's no
It's little
threading.
post boxes. I think the actual combination of, now we can move into the summer of 15, the one thing that stood out to me is the combination of Google Drive in the new search thing. So now that Google Drive documents show up in Salesforce search.
Oh, and like the what
Here,
do they call it? Like
read it.
Sunlight or something like that, right?
Read this. So anyway, we'll move on to our next topic.
Moving
which is,
right along.
Connect to content in Google Drive. With Files Connect, Salesforce users can access and share content from Google's popular cloud-based system, fully integrated with external content by including it in Salesforce searches.
Interesting.
So, I mean, we're a huge Google Drive user. We love it. There's lots of stuff that Google Drive just does that's just brilliant. And this is one of those weird things with Salesforce. They're both including and moving, getting closer to Google, but in the same way, they're also building their own Salesforce files and building it out and adding in more features to it
And
that
notes.
make it more like Google and Notes. So it's like, yeah, we're kind of getting closer to you, but we've got Notes now, which are kind of like Docs, and we have Salesforce File Sync, which now you can do folders in. So now we're getting kind of like, Google Drive, and I can kind of do things the way Google Drive does.
And they've moved away from Google with a lot of things as well.
Right.
The Google integrations have sort of gone down in number, which is weird, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when like Google Apps for Enterprise really started catching fire, Salesforce made notice and created some integrations, right? You had the Google Docs integration where you actually had a Google Docs tab and you could see your docs. You had, which is now being removed, you had the ability to create a new Google Doc from the notes and attachments related list.
Right.
You can no longer create a new one. You can only add, attach existing ones or link to existing ones.
Right.
So they've removed integrations with Google.
They left the email one.
Yeah, they left that email one.
Which I never use, but
All it does is hit your email to Salesforce blind copy.
And opens up a new
It opens
window.
a composition window, a Gmail composition window, and blind copies your email to Salesforce.
Which is actually a nice feature.
Yep.
Yeah. I find it interesting just as they get closer. One thing I've heard, and I'm trying to think how safe harbor this is.
If you're thinking about it, you shouldn't say it.
Yeah, I'm going to say it anyway.
You shouldn't say it.
I'm gonna
if you're
say it.
thinking about it, don't say it.
No, it's not a feature, a new feature. It's a why is the integration with Google.
Generically speaking, what is your thoughts on why integrating with Google from an enterprise perspective is so difficult?
because Google as a generic application is not as open about their APIs and about what they do. They are rather closed and changing them and keeping them in beta constantly. So companies like Salesforce and other companies who want to do more integration with them don't want to spend as much time trying to constantly keep up with Google's kind of beta land, right? Like everything's beta. Oh, and that API is gone because it's beta. Well,
Yep.
Google, Gmail was beta for what, 5-10 years?
Right.
So, not that LinkedIn isn't in it. The LinkedIn connector inside of Salesforce for contacts isn't beta for 3 years. But never mind. So I think it's there's other reasons why Salesforce might be pulling away from their direct integrations, other than we don't like Google or Google's doing things that we're doing. It might be Google's kind of the rogue character out there, and they build stuff that they then tear apart. They put all this millions of dollars into development of things that they let go of. Rumors are that Google Plus is going to sort of be pulled apart again. Something they just put all. I mean, they kind of reuse the pieces. A lot of what was in Google Wave ends up in Google Docs, which we love.
We do, and we love Google Wave.
And we love Google Wave.
It's a drinking game.
It is.
So should I name like a little feature, just a quick glance? Because I have
Yes.
this is one of those, excuse me, one of those features where I saw it in air quote feature that I just kind of laughed at.
Okay. I like it. So we're talking about summer 15
release notes have hit. These are kind of like pre-release notes, I think, still.
When do they tell you that they are actually the release
You
notes?
have to follow the blog and follow the
And then
release
you get
website.
these are the official ones?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me
I don't
something
think
that you're
they
interested
change. They do change, but number of custom profiles allowed. I found this hysterical.
Number of custom profiles
allowed.
is going down, hopefully.
Just yes, it is. Well, there's a limit. So, why don't you take a guess at how many custom profiles? And let me give you the caveat that you can have X number of custom profiles per license type, which the cap isn't this number, it's this number times however many different license types you have.
Right.
So what's the number per license type?
You have a chatter, you have a force, you
Force,
have a
one app, you have a whatever.
right.
So what do you think the number
I'm going to say it's 500. That's just mine. That's because fields are 500 and say it's 500.
Yeah, it's 1,500.
1,500 profiles.
Sure is.
By the way,
So let me just So let's say your organization has 200 users with the Salesforce user license and 50 users with the Force.com app subscription user license. In this case, you can have up to 1,500 custom profiles with the Salesforce user license and 1,500 more with the app, with the Force.com app. Now, I don't know why they use that particular blurb.
Right.
With 200 users, there's no reason to have 1,500 profiles.
Of course there is.
I mean, maybe if you reversed it, I don't know, whatever. They just wanted to make the point. And they basically said, you should start using permission sets.
Nice. This podcast brought to you by the Permissioner.
Yeah, exactly. If you have 1,500 profiles, you might want to start looking at those and start using permission sets where applicable.
1,500 profiles for 200 users
seems like it's impossible. I have a question for you.
It's not impossible. It's just dumb.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's say your org has 75 licenses. Straight up Salesforce licenses.
Okay.
EE? Whatever.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Sure. Enterprise.
Okay, I just got to set my mind. All right.
Regular, plain old Salesforce licenses.
What year is it?
It's the current date.
What do they have for lunch?
It is today.
Okay.
Okay? All right. And you're doing a data migration.
Mm-hmm.
And in this org, which nobody's using just yet, eventually there's going to be 200 users.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually.
Yeah.
You're doing a data migration where all of the 200 users are going to need to own data.
Okay.
Now, with the Spring release, inactive users could actually own data.
You better
hold on. I'm asking you a question.
You should read up on that feature because it's not what you think it is.
All right. We can get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Do you think you could create the 200 users as all inactive and then just start pumping data in and having them own it, even though you only have 75 licenses?
You'd have to create, deactivate, create, deactivate, create, deactivate.
Well, you can just create them not active.
Create not active.
You think you could create all 200 and then just start loading data and have them own it and then buy the licenses later? What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, I think in theory
I have no idea.
That feature, though, I went to go use. I thought that feature allowed me to do something that it, and this is my own investigation, which was I thought that feature was I can associate things, make owners of records to inactive users. It's really meant for. It's a feature. You have to put in a ticket to get turned on, and it's only on for a limited time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's really for
it's meant for when your use case.
My use case, or when someone leaves and you haven't yet reassigned all their accounts, but people still need to modify contacts underneath those accounts or something.
Yeah, it's more meant for I'm migrating a whole bunch of people in. They're not active yet. I'm doing a one-time. I'm doing like a migration of old data.
That you can just leave on.
No.
So it's for my use case.
It was for your use case.
Except they're going to be like, buy the 125 more licenses, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, I
feel like I want to go on a rant about field history,
question.
But I'm not going to do it.
Nah, you don't need to do that.
So anyway, that's first glance at Summer 15 release notes. Which
you skipped something.
Well, I'm going to come back to it.
Oh, okay.
I'm closing the loop.
Close the loop.
I'm closing the loop on that, and then I'm going to open up the loop now and say, last week I think we recorded the podcast on the Friday.
We did,
which was Apple Watch Day officially.
It was,
and we then went back to our house. Our building. We don't have a combined house, but we do live in the same building, strangely enough. And we did an unboxing of your Apple Watch.
Yeah.
The least popular color on the planet.
Apparently so. I love it.
It is Arkus green.
It's Arkus green. That's why I got it.
So give us a couple minutes, just long enough so I don't get jealous enough and smash it on your wrist.
Sure. So I'm thoroughly enjoying my Apple Watch experience thus far.
So says the man who was against wearables.
Yeah, well, Fitbit was my entree into the wearable, whatever. Anyway, so I've got my watch on right now. You can see I'm using the watch face. I think this one's called Lunar.
Okay.
It shows a nice digital time. It shows the date in the upper left-hand corner. And it shows kind of like when it's light and dark out in a little axis or whatever.
Fair enough.
Nice watch faces. I decided to go with digital since I haven't worn a watch in forever. I kind of can just tell time faster on digital than I can on the regular watch face.
Terrible.
It's really awful. But there's a lot of nice little customizations with the watch face. If you're into really complicated ones, you can put all sorts of things onto the watch face. So dates, you can change the way the formatting of the time shows up. You can put I don't know, all sorts of stuff. Let's just say it's a customizable watch face. Right. Now, as far as apps are concerned, I consider the watch, I'm sort of considering it like a little remote control for the phone so far. It's sort of like, I've compared it to my 2 cable boxes in my apartment. One in my living room is a full TiVo box that has the ability to record all the stuff on it and set everything on that. And then the one in the bedroom just reads off of the one in the living room.
Right.
I can set things to record from the bedroom, but it's not actually recording on that box. It's recording on the one in the living room.
Right.
So nothing really necessarily happens on the watch. Everything's kind of happening through the phone. So the phone's sending the notifications to the watch, and you're replying from the watch, but it's really going through the phone.
Right. So would you own this watch without an iPhone?
You cannot own this watch without an iPhone.
Well, there you go.
It is just ridiculously absurd to even think that you would want this watch without the iPhone.
Okay.
It makes no sense in the universe.
Okay.
In no world would that make any sense.
It's interesting because that's one of the, ever since the original iPod, which when you originally got the original iPod, you need to have a Mac because you need to have something to get the data on.
Right.
Then
iTunes
slowly
for
they
PC.
moved up. Then they slowly moved up through, and they got, then it obviously got an OS to itself, and then you could own an iPod Touch without not having connected to a Mac.
No, you needed to connect it to iTunes, not a Mac.
Well, originally it was only a Mac.
Yeah, but then it went to iTunes.
But you needed to have a computer, meaning it couldn't exist by itself.
Right.
But now but then over the last 4 or 5 years, phones, iPads, and iPod Touches they're independent. They can do updates by themselves. They can buy and download things. They don't really you don't even when you activate them, you don't activate them with the computer. You used to activate them with the computer.
No, I haven't plugged my phone into the computer for years. I don't know if this will ever get there because it needs...
Well, I'm saying it's interesting that they're going back now and having something that can't live by itself.
Here's a reason the reason I believe why it would need to have its own, a couple of different, for lack of my understanding in technology, it would need like radios or whatever the chips are, right? It need like a cellular data chip. It would need GPS in there. It would need a couple of things that would need to be in the watch that it's leveraging from its connection to the phone.
Right.
And I don't know if anyone would pay Verizon $30-$40 a month just to have some stuff on their watch.
Pulse.
Yeah, now it's making no sense to me, the whole Pulse, like disconnected. I have a phone anyway.
Right.
Like, I have a phone. Now I can see where the gripe would be like, hey, I'm an Android user. Like, I want to use my Galaxy S, whatever the newest one is. I don't want to switch to an iPhone. I can't use your watch, and I get that gripe completely.
Right.
Go get a Pebble. Yeah, go get the Samsung watch, you know? To continue down the path, I mean, this morning I went for a run. I used the Runkeeper app on the watch. It wasn't the greatest experience.
Really?
It did not actually make anything easier or better or anything.
Couldn't you just look and get
Nope, the screen went off. It was black, and then when I touched it, it just showed me the watch face. So, like, I couldn't even really... I would have had to fidget with it to get to showing me stuff. Now, when I eventually stopped running to hit stop, I had to go open the app on the watch and hit stop. And it didn't make my life any easier. And in addition, I just don't think this app was really thought through very well. When I went to go look on my phone, it was great. The run was immediately there because really it's just tracking it on the... Again, it's just a remote control for the phone.
Right.
But what didn't happen was the GPS connection never cut off. So like 10 minutes later, I look at my phone and it's like Runkeeper's still using your location. You know how it has the blue bar now at the top?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. It never stopped thinking that it was running, I guess, on the watch.
Right.
But it wasn't running on the watch, and it wasn't running on the phone. It was just kept using the location services. So I had to quit the app on the phone, which I didn't really appreciate. So I think some bugginess is certainly to be expected. I haven't been able to get some of the apps that are on the watch to actually work, like the Fly Delta app won't just get past the loading screen. There are some apps that I wish were more than just notifications. And that's the thing that I found out. There are some that are not really apps. They're just the ability to push a notification, like Google Hangouts, like WhatsApp.
Right.
Now, Messages is a full app. When I get a message, I get an alert on my wrist. I can respond to that message by talking into it. And I actually said to you yesterday, I think Messages is kind of like the killer app, which is kind of funny because who would think that you want to respond to a message on your wrist? But it's kind of fun. New emoticons to play with. You talk into it. It dictates perfectly. I haven't seen it mess up once, which is insane. And then you can send it as audio or as actual text.
Right.
Which I think is kind of cool. So I'm a fan as of now. I haven't really dug so deep into it. Again, I'm still even getting used to the fact that I have something on my wrist that tells time. It's like I'll stop myself from going into my pocket to see what time it is.
Right.
I'll be like, wait, you have a watch.
Right.
Just raise your wrist. Because I haven't worn a watch in probably 10 years. So Still getting used to it. I've charged it every night. I don't necessarily think I have to, but I have been because I think it would then run out in the middle of the next day. Like right now it's 4 o'clock. There's 74% remaining, and I went for a run this morning.
Right.
So that's a little indication of I went for my run at 6 a.m. It's now 4 p.m.
How's the health app?
Oh, that's killer.
I think that's the killer app.
It's killer. The activity app, so it basically just totally replaced everything that the Fitbit did plus more. It puts all the data for you on the watch, and then it pushes it also to an app that's actually on the phone. So you get a new app on the phone called Activity, and I'll just open it for you, and you can see what I've been doing today.
Yep.
And then as you scroll down, it gives you all these breakdowns of your exercise, your standing. It alerts you to stand, your move, so like how many calories. And then when you dive into certain things at the bottom, you can see my step count.
Nice.
So it replaces all that stuff that the Fitbit was doing. It goes back in time pretty far. I can jump out to a calendar view, and you can see on a nice calendar view like
nice.
what how active you've been on certain days.
Yep.
Which is kind of neat. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. Less buggy than I was kind of anticipating for a 1.0, and I think it'll only get better as people figure out the best way to put apps on it that makes sense. Because like I said, right now it's kind of a glorified remote control for the phone. Like there's a camera app on it. It's kind of silly. All it does is
screen.
Yeah, all it does is like hit the shutter. So like you could like hold your phone out, I don't know, or put your phone somewhere.
Right.
And then use the app on your wrist to take the picture.
Right.
All right. Whatever. They had to seed it with some apps, I guess.
Right.
So that was...
Well, it seems like there's a lot of apps out there, and I kept reading about them. I mean, there's a couple I'm interested in just because there's app like OmniFocus. I know I have one, and so... But it does, every time I think about it, it's like, oh, it is just a tiny little screen on your wrist.
That's all it is.
And you're not really, I mean, you might check something done, and you might whatever, but it's,
Twitter did a nice job.
They did.
Yeah, you get, when I get app mentioned, I get an alert. It pops up on my wrist, and I can reply to it. I can favorite it. I can retweet.
Nice.
I can do all sorts of things. I can jump into my timeline if I want to just open the app.
But they're all connected to the phone.
Totally
apps.
Connected to the
you
phone. You
can't
apps.
have the Twitter on your watch without having the Twitter on your phone.
Yeah, that's how it works. So on your phone, if you have an iPhone now, you have the app. You have the Apple Watch app. Now, once you have an Apple Watch, you go through that app and connect them to each other, which is kind of a neat little experience that we had. It does it through like a fancy-looking QR code.
Right.
It looks like a galaxy instead of a random QR code. And once you've actually connected them, the interface for managing what the watch actually does is in the app on the phone. So if you want an app to show up on the watch, you toggle it on or off from the app on the actual phone.
Have you tried the Apple Pay yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
I feel like
there's only one place that I ever even use Apple Pay, which is Dwayne Reed.
It's a block away from our house.
Yeah, but I haven't been there.
Yeah, I just go buy something just so you
guess,
can use it. Just so you can see
guess.
the guy go, what?
Who now?
All right, well, we'll, again, somewhere on the path when I get mine, I'm going to do the Salesforce Analytics one. So
Yeah, I've been playing around with that a little bit, but I won't mention anything.
Next time...
I don't have real data to really play with, so it doesn't really matter.
Next time, we were going to do talk about spring, but you're...
Summer,
but you're saying we should wait a couple weeks. So we'll come up with something for
until we
next
have
time.
more blog posts.
Because next week's, or the week after is yours.
That's right.
Probably should get it out next week. I could do mine earlier. Mine's done. All right. So let's make our CloudFocus app picks of the week.
Sure. I was just going to go to the wrist. Now I have a whole new platform.
But you have
no.
You have to pick an app that you have not picked.
You have no rules. You have no say.
That's the rule.
You have no say in the matter.
You can't pick something that you've already picked.
Well, it's for a different platform.
It's not,
so
though.
I'm sure you've picked OmniFocus 3 times.
No.
I'm positive.
No.
You don't set the rules here.
I do. Actually,
You
I
don't.
do.
You don't.
Go ahead.
You really don't. You know what? Because I've really enjoyed Twitter. To me, is like one of the better done apps on the watch. I'm actually just going to pick the Twitter app for the Apple Watch.
But there isn't a Twitter app for the Apple Watch.
Yes, there is.
There's a Twitter app that
on
has
the Apple Watch.
that has an Apple Watch thing. That's what I think. It isn't
It's an Apple Watch app.
Yeah, it's really not. It's an
AWA.
It's an extension of the other app.
Yeah, but it allows you to. Like I said, it's a remote. It's a remote control.
If you go on
fancy
your phone,
remote.
go on your phone and
you know what?
delete the app.
No, let me actually rephrase. I want to pick another app.
Okay,
and it's an app I'm not sure we've ever picked.
Good, that would be good. Be more interesting.
So, I don't like using the Apple remote for my Apple TV in my living room,
right?
Because it's where my Apple TV is located. It's kind of blocked, so the signal I have to like hold my arm up to get it right. So the Apple remote is actually an Apple Watch app, and it's pretty good because if you've ever used the Apple remote on your phone, it's just a big blank screen that you just scroll over. Well, now it's just a smaller version, and it works just fine. So I'll go with that. I'll go with the Apple remote.
So I think that is an actual app on your phone. Or on your watch.
It's a app on my watch.
That works independently of the other app.
It does not, because it already knew what my connections were. Like, I didn't have to reset it up. It was all set up. It's like living room Apple TV. Because I have two Apple TVs.
Did you have to put in a different code when you put it in?
Nope. It was already set up.
I think that's the thing that's really strange about it is that those apps don't live by themselves. They connected.
Do not. It's totally
connected
remote
to
control.
They're connected to another app. So like if you went, that's what I was going to say. If you went and deleted the Twitter app right now from your phone, what would happen to the Apple Twitter app? Obviously, it would stop working. But would it be deleted?
No.
Would it fly off your Apple?
No.
With your Apple Watch?
No. Definitely not.
Definitely? You gotta try it.
I'm pretty sure about it.
All right. Well, I'm going to make something. Since you're picking silly crap, I'm going to pick even sillier crap. Because
I love your little silly crap. I downloaded it the other day because you kept sending these to me, so I had to do one.
So this is an app called Bitmoji, and a friend of mine was using it against me a long time ago. And
our mutual friend who sends these to me also.
Oh, and it was so annoying. I was getting so mad. So then I forget what they were. So basically, it allows you to set up. It's a keyboard. It's a custom keyboard for iPhone.
Yeah, I don't like the way the keyboard really works.
Well, it's not really a keyboard.
I know. I don't like how to get in there.
Yeah, no, getting in's tough.
It's really stinky.
Although there is a quick way. If you just hold down that key, you can then switch right into it.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
There you go.
That's
you
cool.
learned something.
Thank you, I did.
And what it does is it creates images. But the thing is, you set yourself up as an avatar that you have your color and how tall you are and your kind of outfit, and then it puts you in a whole bunch of funny situations or pictures, and some of them are. They update the app, so some of them are actually sort of funny for the time. So they did one right after the Super Bowl. They did Left and Right Shark, like you dressed up as Left and Right Shark. Anyway, it's kind of funny. You can send people little pictures of yourself, a cartoon version, with cray cray, and then it has your facial expressions. So you were sending me all these really annoying.
Annoying.
Oh, they are annoying. Things from your phone, like these. What do you call those? Those are.
I would call them an animated emoji.
Animated emoji, which are annoying.
Which you were saying didn't animate on the phone, but you just proved yourself wrong.
They don't, though. Look, they only.
Well, hold on. Some of those are not animated. Like the thumbs up is literally just a thumb up.
It's moving. You can see it slowly moving.
That's not moving. That one doesn't move.
Yeah, it is. Look at it.
Is it moving slowly?
Yeah.
What's it doing?
It's going like this.
Well, that one's not as good as the other one that I sent you. This heart that explodes into a bunch of other hearts.
Yeah, terrible. So anyway, I was battling with Bitmoji. It's free. It's fun. I don't know. You should check it out. Bitmoji, Bitemoji. And the thing is now with iOS 8, you can say to delete pictures, or you can delete texts or pictures out of there after 30 days. So you're not blowing up people's space. We used to be like, wow, why keep sending me all these pictures? Because they're blowing up my space. So that's my pick. I don't know who does it. Who's behind it?
Bitmoji.
Is by, I don't know, somebody. Kind of fun. You should try it out. Bitmoji. All right. So we'll be back next week with something more interesting. You can follow at Just Edelstein, follow at Jason and Matt Wood, follow at Arkus Inc. We're on the face of the book, facebook.com/Arkus Inc. We're in the Success Community Group. There's our own group in there. You can go in. We post everything there. We're in LinkedIn, Google+. Remember to subscribe and review. If you're a listener, we love it. Subscribe and review in iTunes or Stitchers, whatever that is. And until next week, Justin and Jason say, enjoy those cloudy days.